get things going here. You probably heard that I just started recording. So welcome. This is week 10 of our spring 2021 session of virtual programs. This is for the love of cooking with Chef Laura Strath. Thank you much for being here this evening. My name is Daniel. I assist the town in moderating some of our free virtual programs. While you're here, please feel free to use the chat box to communicate. You can also private message me if you have any questions that maybe you don't want to share publicly. Otherwise, keep yourself on mute. We tend to have around 10, 12 people here, so I mean, if you do want to unmute yourself, that's not a problem. Just make sure that you do return to mute after your question is asked. This is open to the public, so please ensure that you're respecting everyone and their perspectives. And just note that we do record our sessions so that we can share them for folks who are not able to join us so they can watch at a later date. But without further ado, that's enough for me. You can allow a few more in. And Chef, your spotlight, it's all you.
Oh, thanks. Hi, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Hope everyone had a good long weekend. I don't know about you guys, but it was a little hard to get started again on Tuesday morning. So today we are making an asparagus soup, and what takes this soup next level is the addition of a little bit of lemon juice and the Parmesan cheese. This soup is super, super easy to make, and it freezes really well. So if you want to double it up, you can certainly do that. Okay, so I just wanted to give you guys a little point or something I just learned. When you're buying your asparagus and it's all bunched up, just make sure that when you're looking at the elastics, that it does say product of Ontario or product of Canada, okay? So that's a good way to support our farmers. So I love, love, love asparagus. So I eat my asparagus raw or cooked, but today we'll make it into some soup. So we're gonna get it started. So I'm going to put in about 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter. If you have salted butter, then that's fine too. I'm just gonna put this into a pot and I'm just going to put it on a medium heat. Okay, and we're just gonna melt that. And then while that is melting, then we'll just cut up our onions, okay? So I've just got 2 yellow cooking onions. So if you have a red onion or a white onion or a Spanish onion or shallots, you can use all of the above. I'm just gonna take this papery skin off. And it doesn't have to look perfect, guys, because we're just gonna be pureeing the soup anyway. So don't worry if it's a fine dice. I'm gonna go like this.
Hey, Chef, you mentioned to make sure asparagus is from Ontario. Where else are they growing asparagus?
Peru.
Peru?
Actually, China, believe it or not, is one of the leading countries for asparagus production.
Can we import that to Ontario?
We do not.
Okay, I was gonna say, hope.
No. I think that for our short season, I think we just, we get it mostly from Canada. I have seen it early on in the season from Peru, but yeah, the elastic is a really good way to see where we're getting our produce. I just learned that. Okay, so we're just going to do a very rough chop of our onions. Okay, so it doesn't have to be perfect. So remember, when we're making a soup, we don't ever want to rush the onions. That's what gives our soup a really good base. So my butter is melted. So I'm just going to put my onions right into my pan. We got a sizzle, that's what we want. And we're gonna saute this, but we don't want it to brown. We just want it to be a slightly translucent color. Okay. So we're not gonna rush it. We're just gonna coat the onions with butter or olive oil or whatever you're using. Okay. So I'm just going to turn it up to medium here. So at this point then, we'll just cut up our garlic. So I'm going to do 3 cloves of garlic. Is everybody doing okay? Everybody's good?
I think some people are ahead of you. I saw them watching you chop onions. I think
Oh,
some
nice.
People got a head start.
Nice. I like that. I better speed up then. All right. So remember, if you just press down on your garlic, it's a good way to take the skin off quickly. I've got garlic coming up in my garden, so my garlic scapes are almost ready. And then just a rough chop. Okay, so I'm just going to cook out my onions a bit more before I add my garlic. That way our garlic doesn't burn in our pot. So speaking of onions, actually, asparagus is part of the onion and chive family. It's got a short growing season. But asparagus, fun fact, if you are going to plant asparagus in your garden, it takes about 3 years from seed to stalk. So from seed to harvest takes about roughly almost 3 years. It's a perennial, so it will come back every year. And they have a couple different varieties too of asparagus. So you've got white asparagus, you can buy purple, you can buy green. Green has probably the most health benefits. White asparagus, there's nothing genetically modified about that. It's what they do with white asparagus is that once the shoot starts to come up with the asparagus, then they actually cover it with soil so it gets no light. So it stays white, no photosynthesis, so it doesn't have the green color. And then when they harvest it, they actually cut it about, I think it's something like 9 inches deep into the soil. And then they have to package it in a dark container. But when you cook white asparagus, it really just turns green anyway. So
Loving all the asparagus trivia tonight, Laura.
I know, right?
Is this like, I have no idea where you pick up 10 facts about asparagus.
Oh, let's see if I can think of another fun fact.
I have one here.
Oh, about the
Okay.
asparagus pea, is that what you're gonna say, Daniel?
Come on. Are you serious?
Oh.
Yes, about asparagus pea.
Okay, you go for it.
Forget it. It's your...
I know, everyone's like, I don't know about that. But everybody does. It actually is because of sulfuric compounds and how it reacts with your body. But here's the fun fact, is that there is a percentage of people that can't smell that. So it's a genetic thing. So Tanya's one of the lucky people.
Tanya doesn't smell asparagus pea?
Nope.
Top-notch programming from the town of Oakville this year.
Just glad you logged on.
Supervisor of Cultural Services for the town of Oakville does not smell asparagus pea. Back to you, Chef.
Sorry, Tanya. Okay, so I'm gonna put in my garlic. And give that a stir. It smells so good. Okay, so while that's cooking out, we'll get started on cutting our asparagus. Okay, so I like just to trim off the ends. Some people like to snap. I'm just gonna quickly cut. And then we're just gonna cut into 1/2-inch pieces.
Ooh, I apologize. I had the chat blocked. The previous program was a child program, so the public chats were disabled. But Mary Ellen just said that Dad grows his own and just gave away 15 pounds. We could have saved ourselves a trip to the grocery store.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you told me. Yep,
And Mary Ellen's dad, is that Chef Laura's dad?
that is. We have the same dad. We get the same maple syrup and the same honey and the same asparagus. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, so I'm just going to put this in here. If you want to, you can save a couple of these tips as a garnish for your soup. If you're feeling fancy. Maybe we'll save a few. That way I can show you what to do.
So Laura, it did say to trim both ends, but we can put both ends in. Is that okay?
Yeah,
We can put the tops in.
Yeah, I always put the tops in. Yeah.
Okay. And
Sorry?
the other question I had is it said, I think 2¼ pounds of asparagus. Is that right?
Yeah, so roughly about 2 bunches.
Okay, so that wasn't anywhere near 2¼ pounds for me. Is that okay?
Yeah, it should be okay, Francis.
Okay.
Like how big, maybe your bunches were a bit smaller?
No, they were big. They were just average size bunches, but I weighed it and it only came to like a pound and a half. So
Okay, if that's the case, then just reduce the amount of stock you're putting in.
okay.
Okay, by like maybe by a cup or 2.
Okay.
Start with less stock and then you can add more if you need.
Chef, when my wife prepares asparagus, she does this thing where she like snaps them.
Yep.
What's going on there?
So basically, asparagus has like a natural snapping point. So like if you hold it like this, it's gonna snap off the, like where it needs to, like, so I can like bend it up here and it's, oh, can you see? And it's not really giving any give, but I can snap it down here. So it's actually got like an ergonomic snapping area, I guess you call it. I don't know what you would call that.
So you essentially work up from the base and just find the place where it can snap, and we're not eating the place below the snap?
Correct. That one is really tough and woody.
Okay.
Yeah. This is actually a really great, this is a soup that I make a lot with my seniors at work, and they love this soup. So we make it a couple times when the asparagus is in season, because it's really easy for them to not to actually, they don't sometimes have the dexterity to hold a knife, but they find it really easy to snap the asparagus.
So they help with preparation?
They do.
That's a great activity.
Yeah, it's really
Love
fun. Okay, so once we have this, we're gonna add this into our pot. Okay, and then we're gonna add in our vegetable broth. So Francis, you just add in a little bit less.
So it weighed out to 1 pound, 8 ounces.
Okay, so almost, okay, so then
So
just put in maybe,
4 or 5.
start with 4.
Okay. And I have chicken broth. Is that okay?
Totally fine.
Chef, is this soup gluten-free?
It is if the broth is gluten-free. So to our soup, we've got our broth, we've got our garlic, we've got our onions, we've got the main ingredient, the asparagus. So we'll put in some pepper and a teaspoon of salt. And I'm just using a straight table salt. And then I'm just gonna guess the pepper here. Okay, perfect. And then we can adjust the seasonings as well. So we're gonna cook this out for about 20 minutes or so, just until the asparagus is fork tender. Okay, so I'm just gonna turn my heat up a little bit just so I can maybe accelerate so that we have time to finish. And I'll just put a lid on until it comes up to a boil.
Laura, if
Yes.
we used salted butter, should we adjust the amount of salt?
Yes, so maybe just take it down to half and then you can adjust after. Good question. Okay, so with our next step, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be adding some freshly squeezed lemon juice, and we will be adding half a cup of shredded Parmesan. Okay, so while we're waiting for our soup, then we can work on those things. So we actually got the microplane out of the plastic today, so that was exciting. So I'm just going to grate some Parmesan cheese. I prefer actually to use fresh Parmesan cheese. I just find the taste is so much better.
Chef, while you're grinding, I just want to confirm. So everything that's gone into the soup so far. So we've had a butter, and then we added 2 onions, and
Yep.
then was it 3 cloves of garlic?
Yep,
And then stock. And
Correct.
of course our asparagus.
you got it.
2.5 pounds of asparagus.
You got it.
Thank you.
So then we'll add in our Parmesan cheese at the very end, and then we'll hit it with a little bit of lemon. Okay, so this looks like a half a cup. Okay. All right, I'll put that here. All right. Now I've got my lemon ready to go. Now I'm going to be using later to puree my soup. I'm going to be using something called an immersion blender. This is a super tool. I don't think they're that expensive actually. I think KitchenAid is probably the most expensive brand, and they run about $70, but you can get them on sale. And I use this for a lot of soups in the house, and they last forever. If you don't have an immersion blender, that's okay. You can use your food processor. Just make sure that when you are using, or your blender, only fill it up halfway when you're using hot liquids. Otherwise, the lid can blow off.
Do we need the zest from the lemon, Laura?
Nope, just the juice. You can use the zest if you want to, Francis, but it's not needed. Does everybody have theirs on the stove? Yep, okay. Okay, so I have to tell you guys that I remade those scones again this weekend. They were so good. They were so good.
Was it already a week since we made scones?
Yeah. I know. Where did that week go?
Those scones are to die for.
I agree.
My
They're on
children,
they're on my list to do again very soon.
my children inhaled the rhubarb puree like it was like milk. Like they just like. Ah.
Oh, that's amazing.
Laura,
Yes.
going back to the rhubarb compote, can we freeze that?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I actually will put it in baggies and then I freeze them flat so that you can stack them in your freezer so you don't take up a lot of space. And then it's nice when the Ontario berries come out because then you can just pull out your frozen rhubarb and add your Ontario berries. Mm-hmm.
Bonnie has a lot of rhubarb, by the way.
Oh, good. I'll keep that in mind. Thank you. Oh,
Hold
I'm
on.
glad that you like those. I know, they are so good. Okay, so while we're waiting,
I need to find a friend who's got some rhubarb I can dig up and grow them myself.
you should throw it out on a social media group.
Oh, okay, that's a good idea. Yeah.
People are probably just looking to get rid of it.
Yeah, just don't take them from local community gardens. I heard there was cases of people taking rhubarb harvests.
Really?
before. Yeah, such a crummy thing to do.
Aww. And some rhubarb is not edible, so yeah, you want to make sure that.
Lesson learned then. Good.
Yeah. This is like when people pick the fiddleheads off the side of the road. Yeah, I've heard of that too.
So would they sell rhubarb like to grow maybe like at Terra or something? Like I've never looked for it, or do you just have to get like rhubarb from somebody else and then replant it?
Well, you could do both. I have seen they had some seedlings. I think I saw them at Organic Garage, but if I see them, I'll let you know where to find them. If anybody's looking, I'll keep my eye out.
I'm
Yeah,
looking
you can grow it
online
at
right
your
now.
house for me. That'd be great.
Okay. Grow it at my house. Okay, so I do have some fresh thyme from my garden. So we can use this as a little bit of garnish on our soup as well. So I'll just pick off some of these leaves and then we can garnish our soup. You don't have to garnish with fresh herbs if you don't want. This one pairs really nice with fresh dill. If you have fresh dill, I just didn't have any. But dill is lovely. So funny. I wish that they sometimes sold dill in just those half bunches because I just don't use that much dill. I love it, and I find sometimes when I take it out of the freezer, it just kind of turns into mush.
I have a trick for that.
Ooh.
Actually, for any herbs, is that you wash it, and then you just roll your even your cilantro or your dill, and you just roll it up in a slightly moist paper towel, and then you stick it in a Ziploc bag and put it in your crisper, and it lasts for weeks, and it still smells amazing.
Yes, I've done that one before, or even the cup in the fridge. And sometimes I'll make like a mixed herbs, and I put them in a little bit of olive oil, and I put them in ice cube trays. And those are kind of nice, especially if you're doing like a fancy butter for your corn on the cob.
Okay, I did a Terra search for rhubarb. They don't sell rhubarb at Terra.
Oh.
Because I was just trying to think, I've never seen it there, and it doesn't look like they have many things in seedlings and seeds, but not rhubarb.
That's so weird.
So I guess we're going to have to go to the garden and steal some then, right?
Maybe there's the root of the problem. Yeah, I also think that Terra may need to reconsider the labeling of those plants because they've labeled their entire section of vegetables and as edibles.
Oh.
So I think maybe this year is the time to maybe clarify edibles at Terra.
That's funny.
Okay, I'm not even at a boil yet. Come on. Close.
Yeah, mine's at a boil.
Oh, good. This should be coming soon. I know this burner down here is usually the one that heats up the fastest. I think you guys can see this one a little bit better, right?
Should we turn it down when it boils?
Yep, you just want to turn it down to a simmer. Okay, so while I'm waiting for my soup to come to a boil, I'm just going to put a little bit of water into a saucepan. And I'm going to bring that to a boil. And then I'm just going to quickly blanch my asparagus tips here. And then we can use these as garnish on our soup. So basically I'm going to blanch it. I'm going to put a little bit of salt in there too, just to help keep the green color. And then I will shock it in some cold water so that it stops cooking.
Hey, Chef, I know that we use vegetable stock because I know you eat as vegetarian, but what would be the preferred or recommended stock? Could we use chicken or I know chicken is, you mentioned that Francis was okay. What about beef?
I would not recommend beef.
Okay.
Beef tends to lend to it's a little bit more of a heavier flavor. I would say vegetable or chicken. So no beef, no mushroom. Yeah, definitely. I prefer vegetable just because we're making a vegetable soup, but
Sure.
Or if you make your own stock, then go for it. Okay, guys, I'm almost at a boil.
How would you make a vegetable stock, Chef Laura?
So Marilyn, sometimes what I tend to do is like when I'm cutting onions or if I'm cutting off the tops or bottoms of my celery, I actually just save those in a Ziploc bag and put them in the freezer. And then when
Okay.
I go to make a stock, then I'll add in like whole onions, I'll put in some carrots, lots of fresh herbs. I put in like lots of parsley, some thyme. Sometimes I'll put in a little bit of tomato. But yeah, and then I just let it come to a simmer for about an hour and then I strain.
Okay. Strain it. Okay, because I've never made vegetable. I've done chicken with my chicken carcasses, but I've never done a vegetable.
When you do your chicken, Marilyn, do you brown your bones first?
Yeah, I heard that. So I've got an Instapot now.
Oh,
And so what I do is I brown it in. I saute the bones first. Then I put in the water along with the onion and the celery, the carrots, and
oh, nice. Yeah, it gives
yeah,
a really nice depth to your,
it really does. Yeah, it makes a big difference. The sauteing the bones.
yeah, nice. Okay, so my front pot is at a boil. Oh, I'm at a boil here too. Perfect. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to throw in the tips and I'm just going to cook those maybe for about 3 minutes or so. I'm just going to add a pinch of salt just to help keep the color. And then I'm going to put them into some nice cold water. We'll let that run for a second here.
And Chef, we're just doing this blanching the tips as just a garnish.
Yeah, we're just doing this as a garnish. It's not mandatory. It's just, I'm just showing you a little extra thing just in case you have company come and you're gonna make your soup one day.
You gotta be fancy, why not?
With company. I know. I can't wait for those days. Because I gotta tell you, my kids don't really appreciate my cooking.
You can come cook at my house anytime,
Yeah.
Laura, if you want people to appreciate your cooking. Anytime.
Sounds good.
I was waiting for that. It was too easy for me to take it. It was happy to give you all the thanks that you deserve, Chef. So,
Everyone's usually just happy that they might not have to make dinner.
yeah, I've been cooking with my fingers lately a lot, I find, with like all the different food ordering applications. It's just getting way too easy and way too cheap.
Yep. I hear ya. Okay, so these are still nice and crispy, so I'm actually just going to put them in here in some nice cold water. Typically you would use an ice bath. This is a really great way too if you are making green beans, if you want to quickly blanch them. And then you can run them under ice cold water. And then when you're ready to go, after all the other components of your meal are ready, then you can just fire your green beans into a saucepan and hit them with a little bit of sea salt and some freshly squeezed lemon. And then you're good to go. Okay, this smells so delicious. Okay, mine's still rock hard, so I'm going to turn mine up just so I can catch up to you guys. Okay, so while that's doing that, then I'm just going to squeeze out my lemon juice. So you can either squeeze over a strainer or you can just use your hands as a strainer for those seeds. And we're going to need about 2 tablespoons. If you don't have a citrus creamer, you can always use a spoon and just kind of get in there and do some twisting, and that helps to release a lot of juice. I'll just get the seeds out in a sec. Okay. All right. Take out my seeds since I've got time. At home we have these little mini strainers that fit over a glass and they're really handy. Okay. So we're ready to go with that. Actually, one of the things that you could make if you have time, you know, when you're hosting or being fancy, and you can actually make some of those Parmesan cheese crisps that we made. The ones that we did for the spring onion soup. That would be a nice garnish for the asparagus soup as well. I'm just gonna partially cover. I wanna boil off a little bit of my liquid, so it's a little bit thicker. If you want a thick soup, then you just continue to simmer until you evaporate some more of the liquid. Okay.
We're getting like the virtual reality of cooking there when the steam came up into the camera.
Oh!
Hey, maybe we can share what we're thinking about for next week.
Yeah.
So I can kind of provide an update because it was my job to book. So next week is the first Wednesday of June, and June is Indigenous History Month. So we are going to be joined by an Indigenous chef who's going to teach us how to make some great Indigenous culinary cuisine. I wish I could tell you what it is, but I'm just waiting for them to give me the confirmation on what the item is going to be. But it'll be posted online. We'll have it out hopefully before the end of the week, certainly before the end of the day on Monday. But I'm looking forward to it, and I'm really looking forward to announce who it is too. But I just want to wait until we get all the details. But definitely join us next week. I apologize. Usually we do like a big reveal of what next item is going to be, but
It's going to be a surprise.
We have a special. Yeah, I think everyone will be really, really happy with how it goes because it's. I feel like I've landed a bigger fish than I was expecting for our guest, but we'll see.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
What are some of the traditional dishes, Daniel? Do you know?
Yeah, so I mean, when I was looking at the chef's menu, much of it is like local food, fresh to Ontario. The difference would be the way that it's prepared and the way that it is sourced. So like gardening is a huge component of food preparation. Harvesting food is a huge component of food preparation. And even just the way you prepare and spice the food is different. So I'm curious to get a little bit of window behind that. The other thing that I've asked is to gain some knowledge in terms of how we can use our plates to support Indigenous communities. So what are the farms and the local businesses that we can turn to that are run by Indigenous folks that can help us make it delicious food, and maybe uplift part of the community rather than just, shopping blindly.
That's amazing. I look forward to that.
Yeah. And then I think after that, Chef, we only have 3 more episodes of the spring for our little program here. So we'll have to.
I think that when we were talking about the one that's closer to Canada Day, so that would be our last one, right? June 24th, I believe it is.
Was that the maple syrup bacon donut?
I thought we were talking butter tarts.
Oh, butter tarts. The maple syrup bacon butter tart donut. Butter tart. Yeah.
Donuts are good too, though.
Awesome. Okay, so then we are. Yeah, I'm all in for that.
All right. So then I guess we've only got like maybe 2 more recipes after that, right?
We got to go all out. Like, have you ever seen what are those like YouTube shows where they just talk about like ridiculous monster foodies or something? You know what I'm talking about? Like there was the one where the turducken, where they stuffed a turkey with a chicken and stuffed the chicken with a duck, and they just made ridiculous food.
I've done pie cakin once, and that's where you make a pie inside a cake. Yeah. It was really interesting. So I made a cherry pie, and I baked the cherry pie, and then I put it inside a chocolate cake.
Yeah, we gotta go something like that. Just crazy.
It might have to be like a 2-hour finale.
Yeah.
How did you do that? How did you take it out of the pie pan?
So I baked the pie and then I let it cool. And then in that time, I actually made the chocolate cake. So I baked just a tiny base of the chocolate cake, like a par bake. And then I took my cooled pie out. And then, oh, here's Ruby. And then I put the pie in, and then I covered it with the raw cake batter. And then I baked it until done.
Oh, for heaven's sakes. Wow.
Hi, Ruby.
Hey, Rue. Looks like we get to join bath time tonight. This is great parenting on my behalf, by the way.
I think it's the highlight, Daniel, really.
Dad of the year. I parent from work in a virtual cooking program. Good job, Ruby. Splish splash.
Aww. How's everybody's asparagus? Is it almost slightly, is it tender? Mine's just about there. I'm just keeping mine a little bit higher than what it should be, just because I'm trying to catch up a little bit with you guys so we're done. Okay. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take mine off and I'm going to blend mine. Okay, so I'm gonna put my pot here. So I'm gonna blend my soup just so that you guys can see what it's looking like. Okay, so this is gonna be a little bit hot, but I'll take one out. So when you squeeze it, it should be able to break apart. Okay, like that. All right. So if you are using your blender, please, please, please be very, very careful. So with an immersion blender, you want to immerse it into the pot, and you don't want to bring it up so that these holes are outside of the pot, because then it's going to shoot everywhere, okay?
I'm curious. So, in terms of blending from boiling, are we doing that for the magic of television to make sure that we're fast, or is that safe for others to do?
Yeah, it's totally safe for others to do.
Okay.
As long as, if you're using a blender, just only fill up like even a quarter to halfway, because it will, the heat will cause the pressure for the lid to kind of rock it off.
Yep.
All right, so you can kind of see, I don't know if you can maybe see, this is a nice thicker soup. Okay, really beautiful. And we are going to add in our 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Okay, and our Parmesan cheese. Yum, yum. And then at this point too, this is when you want to do a little taste test to see if you need to add more salt and pepper, or you might want to add a little bit more lemon. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to turn away from Tanya. It is absolutely perfect in my mind. Okay.
So, Chef, if people were, say, unhappy with, not unhappy, but if it wasn't perfect for them at this stage, like what would you recommend adding? Is it just salt and pepper to taste, adding more stock?
If you want a thinner soup, then you can add more stock for sure. If you want a thicker soup, then you can continue to simmer and thicken it up, or you can add a thickening agent. So make a little like a cornstarch slurry, and then to have a little liquid, and then just do a little bit at a time to thicken up your soup. Or you can add more cheese. You could add, if you want to have a little bit of a bite to it, you can add some chili flakes. You can add a little bit more lemon if you're looking for like a little bit more not sourness, but a little bit more sour, I guess, on the back of the palate. But it just really just depends on your tastes.
And is half of a lemon, is that traditionally 2 tablespoons or?
Well, mine was quite large, so I probably could have got 4 tablespoons of my lemon. Okay, so let's put this in a bowl.
Do we want to bring it back to a boil once we've put the cheese in?
You can, yep. I'm not going to, just because we're at this stage where I'm just going to put it in a bowl.
I think dinner is ready.
If you don't want to, though, you don't have to bring it back to a boil or a simmer. I think that they say to do that if your soup is cooled down while you're blending it. But I can see mine is pretty steamy. So then we are going to garnish with some fresh thyme. Thank you. And then we've got a few spears that you can put onto your soup. And then if you wanted to, you could even top with some freshly grated Parmesan cheese. And then you're all set. Doesn't that look good?
Delicious.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Really good.
Mm-hmm. The lemon really adds, I think, really adds a lot to this soup.
Does anyone have any questions for Chef before we let her sign off and taste test this thing?
No, I'm good.
Okay, well, Chef, thank you very much. Thank you very much for walking us through this, and I can't wait to run over to the kitchen and be able to taste it. And thank you everyone for being here. We'll see you all next week. I'll make sure that recipe gets up before the end of the day on Monday, and we hope you join us again for the last 4 weeks. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. I just have one question for Jackman. Did you try the scones with the sea salt?
Oh yeah.
Sorry, Daniel. I didn't.
Sorry, Laura. I didn't get around to it just yet, but I really want to try it.
Okay, sorry to put you on the spot there.
Gee, I thought you forgot about
that. Next week, don't disappoint us, you know.
Laura, I was just thinking your soup looks absolutely delicious, and I was thinking that would be great for St. Pat's Day, you know, sort of thing.
Yeah. Absolutely. It actually is nice chilled too.
Right on. Yeah. Hey, Laura, I have a quick joke for you guys.
Okay.
What's Irish and is found outside on your patio?
Is this going to be clean?
Yes.
Is it Guinness?
No.
What's Irish and can come out onto your patio?
It's found on your outside on your patio. Yeah.
Outside of the patio. Oh, I don't know.
Patio furniture.
Ah, that's awesome.
Oh, silly. I know. Sorry.
Thank you for that one. I'm going to take that one for St. Patrick's Day.
Okay.
Nice. Thank you. And thank you. And Francis, I'm having major kitchen envy. I just noticed that you basically have like a greenhouse solarium as your kitchen. Not bad.
Yeah, I do. Thank you. Yeah, I've been moving around because I'm actually serving this for dinner this evening. So I've had to kind of move around as I've done.
Loving
it.
it.
So.
Oh,
no, I caught a glance of that. I was like, I'm going to add that to my future wish list.
Yeah, it's a beautiful kitchen. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Everyone have a nice evening.
Bye, everyone. Thanks so much.